Yeah, maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know. Is it going?
All right, we are live.
Yay!
So welcome everyone to our live show number 5 now.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, so it's our last show from France. Today we are so stoked to have Lucy, and I don't know how to say that.
Okay, we'll just say hey to Lucy right now. And how do you say your last name?
Bartholomew, but yeah, no one gets it right.
Yeah. So yeah, Lucy is a trail runner with the team Salomon, and we have been following her lately. She has been at the Mont Blanc Marathon and Ultra Marathon in Australia. We're going to talk about all of this, but she inspires us a lot, so we thought that we would bring her on the show and share her story, and hopefully it's going to inspire more of you guys.
Yeah, and she's plant-based, which is amazing. So welcome, Lucy. Thank you so much for being here.
Wow, thanks for having me.
And where, yeah, maybe to let people know, where are you at right now?
So I'm currently in the UK, down in Southampton. So probably not ideal for training for the mountains, but it's where my mom is. So I'm pretty happy to be here for now.
Yeah, family is always great, and bouncing around, traveling, it's nice staying with family. Well, we're here in France with doing the same thing at Gwen's mom's house.
Yeah, last day for us in France, and tomorrow we fly back, or like we head back to the US. So yeah, Lucy, can you tell us a little?
Wait, first, quick reminder for everyone watching live, we have the chat room open right here on another screen. So on YouTube, you guys can get into the chat room and ask questions. And as they come up throughout the live show, we'll probably be chatting for about an hour to an hour and a half. We'll ask Lucy your questions for you. So definitely ask questions. We love questions. It makes the show a little bit more fun and interesting. So, okay, that was it.
Yeah.
And now we will.
We already have a few people watching right now.
Yep.
And Carrie, she's always watching our videos. It's awesome. And she's here and she says hi. So hi, Carrie.
Oh, and also Lucy, from last week, said hi. Some people remember?
Yeah, Jane.
Yeah, Jan from the.
London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was super excited.
Awesome.
I think she's probably gonna watch it later, so she might be here, but she says hi. So, okay, we'll get right into it. Gwen was gonna ask the first question.
Yeah. So, if you can tell us about your story, where you grew up, and how you kind of like got into running. What was your environment at that time, and was there a transition from actual running to trail running and all of that?
Cool. So I went to school in Melbourne in Australia, and I was not a talented runner from a very young age. I played team sports, basketball, netball, anything that kind of got me out of school. Really, I was on that bus going there. And then it was kind of one of those things that because I was not good at it, I wanted to get better. And my dad, he always ran. He's ran, I think, 20 of the Melbourne marathons. So he loves the Melbourne Marathon. He's did that sub 3 hour, ticked that box and moved on. And when I was growing up, he was kind of getting older and not so interested in getting PBs. So he was looking at running 100 Ks. So when I was 14, he signed up for his first 100 K, and yeah, I was running a little bit here and there, again, just getting out of school, and kind of when we started racing cross country at school, it was 3 Ks at first, and that was just awful. Like for me, I was like dead because I'd go really hard for the first K and then I'd just walk it in. And then it got to 5K and people would run the 3K really well and then die and walk it in. Whereas I kind of did the first K really slowly and then I built up, and I realized that I was quite mentally determined. And so I did a little bit of that. Definitely not the best, definitely not the fastest. And then
how old were you at that time?
That's probably when I was 9, 10.
Okay, so like pretty young.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like we're forced to do it in Australia. You have to run the cross country, whether you like it or not. You can just walk it. And then when I was 12 or 13, I became quite obsessed with running, and to the point where I actually developed, well, in combination with eating, I had an eating disorder. And running was my way of, it became the devil. It was my way of losing weight. It was my way of controlling myself. And it was really unhealthy. And then so I was forced to stop that, obviously, because I was very, very sick. And then I decided, had this like realization moment where I was like, I'm not going to give this up. Like I love running, and if that means that I need to change my whole life and change my priorities, then it's worth it. And so running was something that initially was going to almost kill me, and now it's something that makes me want to live more every day.
Wow.
So yeah, it really tested how much do you love running? It was a point where I needed to decide whether this was going to be something that was going to destroy me, or whether it was going to something that was going to strengthen me. And I'm really, really glad that I was able to create that mindset and to be strong from it, because the life that I live now is because of that. And I think I appreciate it more because of the past. And then, so then my dad signed up for his first 100K, and I was really intrigued by this, and, thought this would be a really cool way to run. And I trained with him, and he still had that marathon mindset of not training over 3 hours. So we only went out for up to 3 hours, and then I watched him run this 100K race and watched these people of different shapes and sizes and young and old. And I was like, wow, these people are all like paying to be uncomfortable, but in this beautiful area. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to find out what I'm capable of, and I want to see what I can do, and kind of give my body the chance to be strong again. And, and really, I don't think you can run 100Ks for the wrong reasons. If you don't like running 100Ks, it's going to show, because there's a point where you have to choose to go or you're going to stop. And I really wanted to see what my body would do and what my mind would do. So yeah, and then I watched.
Have you ever ran like a marathon or anything?
Sorry?
Oh, some feedback. Had you ever even ran a marathon at that point? Or was this kind of like, how old were you at that point?
So I signed up for my first 100 kilometers at 16.
Oh, wow.
But I ran my first ultra the week before, running a 50K race, because I was terrified of not making the 100K distance. So I was like, I need to run half the race before the race. Not the week before is not ideal, but I did that anyway. And me and my dad ran side by side for this 100-kilometer race, the 50K and then the 100K. And we, it was just an incredible experience, and kind of like got me to where I am.
So
wow.
That was when you were 16, you said?
Yeah.
So at 16 you are what, in high school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is there like distance running in high school, or like?
No, the furthest that girls can run is 3K, which was just the most painful thing, because I'd always be like, well, can I just run in the guys race and run 5K? Like that extra 2K is a marathon to most of these people. So to me, it was great, because I was out there training on the weekends, 20, 30K runs with my dad. But no, for girls, you could only run 3K.
So were you doing it then?
Yeah, I was doing the 3K, but I was doing it terribly. Like
it's a totally different sport.
And I hated it. Like I hated the fact that I was like, my heart was here, and I just didn't enjoy. I like the slow, kind of like ease into it, and the longer stuff. So yeah.
Wow.
So what, like at what point did you notice that maybe you had a talent for that, or like did this came like come from you or from others telling you that, wow, you know, like you could do something?
And what did you do after that first 100K then?
So when I signed up for that 100K, the race put out that I was running, that the 16-year-old girl was running 100Ks. And we had a lot of people be like, that's really dangerous. It's really bad for her body. Like like what bad parenting, and a lot of criticism. And so Dad said to me, you know, you have to run this 100K and you have to smile the whole way, because you need to show everybody that you are doing what you want to do, and you're doing it healthily, and you're fine to finish. And so that's what we did. We finished 12 and a half hours. We pretty much sat down for breakfast and lunch and dinner on the run. We made snacks and sandwiches, and just like completely different to the way I run 100Ks now. But it was such a cool first experience. And then like it was an impressive time. Like I finished 15th, 16th female. And then I kind of was like, no, I want to do this again. Like I really enjoyed that experience. And I went back the next year and ran by myself, and I ran 9.5 hours. So I ran 3 hours faster without my dad. Not that he was slowing me down, but yeah, I think I just developed and I was stronger. It was my second 100. I was a bit more confident. And that was when I was kind of like, hang on, like if I can improve 3 hours and not really train that hard, and yeah, I just kind of, then people said, you know, you could be really good. Like if you love this and you stay in this sport and you keep yourself happy and you're healthy, then, you know, there's potential for you to grow into it. And I think, yeah, that's when I had to decide, like, is this what I want to do? Do I want to continue along this and see how much faster and further I can go? And that's when I signed up for the Big Red Run, the 250K multi-stage race in the Simpson Desert. Wow. And yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, I need to find the next bigger challenge. And my parents were just like, oh no, like stay at 100K, that's plenty. Like that's extraordinary as it is. So yeah, that's kind of where I was like, you know, maybe I could be good. And like the thing is that when I started running, and especially in Australia, being a female and just running these events, you're pretty much like gonna win or gonna podium. So I did a lot of small races, and my resume is super impressive just because there was no one else.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of confidence from that, and I was like, oh, this is great, like free pair of socks and, you know, a bath every now and then. And yeah, that kind of like really motivated me, and kind of like, oh, maybe I am good at this. And now I'm realizing that I was just lucky, and now I need to train, and, you know, it's a fight to win. So it's been cool.
So how was your training at that time? Because you were in high school, like where did you find time to run, and what kind of training were you doing? Some like speed work, or like on the track, or just easy?
No, everything was junk miles. Everything was just plodding along at nice pace. I took on a coach of Australia, Brendan Davies, and he is a phenomenal world-class athlete, and he tried to make me do the intervals and the speed and the hills, and I just didn't like it. It was like going back to running the 3K at school, and I was not interested in that. I wasn't interested in doing something that made me feel so ill. So everything was an easy pace, but my mileage was high. Because I loved running. I'd get up early in the morning and I'd run to make school bearable. I'd go sit in school and be like, my legs were tired, and I was happy. And then I'd get home from school and I'd put the homework aside and go back for another run. So I was running a lot of kilometers.
Wow.
And I was, but I was just like, everything was so easy. I was just loving it. And I'd go out with, you know, try and drag my friends out for the afternoon run. And that always made it a lot of fun. Or I'd share it with my dad at night or something. So yeah, I've always been a high mileage person and loved that.
Cool.
And so you said that before that you had like issues with like eating disorder, and so that's why you had to stop. So how did that transition go, like from having to stop because of that and then going to run because you love it?
Yeah, you know, it was a really interesting thing. It was kind of a time where, like, yeah, you know, something that I thought I loved was taken away from me, and at that point, it wasn't something I loved. It was something that I was telling myself I needed to do.
Yeah.
And then when that was taken from me, and all of a sudden, like, I wanted to do that, and I was like, okay, but I want to do it, but why do I want to do it? And you know, it was something that me and Dad began to share, and then obviously that was taken away. And it killed me every time he went out the door and ran without me. And that was my inspiration to get better, was to go for those runs with my dad and to be able to spend that time again with him. And then, yeah, so I just kind of, you know, I worked really hard on just like my mental state, my reasons for running, my relationship with food, my just everything, because it all stems from the energy that you put into yourself. You know, you can't mentally function, physically function, emotionally function without food. And I realize now, like, health is just such a major part of my life that, yeah, like, I don't know how I did that for 2 years. I was just in a downward spiral and then climbed my way out. And I'm really glad that I had running and with my dad as like that little thing to kind of get back into. And when I started back running again, it wasn't like we went straight back into 100, like to do 100K. It was, you know, we'd do 20 minutes and we'd do 30 minutes, and I built back up. And I remember at the end of 1 year, when I was told I could start running, my New Year's resolution was to run a half marathon. So I'd run up to 2 hours, but never got to 21K. And on New Year's Day, me and Dad went down to the beach and I ran the half marathon, and I ticked my New Year's resolution off on day one. And, I was like, you know, I love this. Like, I just love this time with my dad. I love the places it's taking me. And yeah, I don't know, my mindset, my relationship, it all changed. I'm very grateful that it was a smoother transition than what I know a lot of people can have. So
yeah. So do you think that that's what started your relationship with food that you have today? That, you know, the value that you put into food and
totally, yeah. Because I really feel that, like, I ate meat for 16 years, and then I've been vegetarian for 3 years on top of that, and then kind of in the last year and a half, gone vegan. And I think it's got to do with just how it makes you feel. Like, I'm happy to eat heaps and heaps of plant-based food because I feel good for eating it. And I think that if I was putting more processed foods, I'd feel bad about it, and then I'd feel like, oh, like, this is bad for me, and that kind of would spiral me. So I definitely feel like the relationship with me is very much like, yeah, it's just changed my mindset. It's made me enjoy cooking and sharing. I love that I can inspire people to eat plant-based and healthy. So yeah, they kind of, yeah, it all works in.
I think that's really interesting because so many runners struggle with eating disorders. Like, it's so common. And one of the things that people do is just what you were doing, like running as a way to burn off the food. But so then they go into, when they eat, it's like a guilty act, no matter what it is. They feel guilty about eating. And of course it shouldn't be like that. So that's one of the beauties of going plant-based, is that everything that you eat, if you're eating like whole food plant-based, is really good for you. So then you eliminate all that guilt, and really that comes back to the mindset. Because whenever there's anything in your life that you're like guilty of, or you feel like it's not the right thing, that's not going to bring you like positive anything in life.
Yeah,
right?
and food is a need, and food is energy. You know, that's and that's sad when people start to see food as, exactly like you said, like guilt. You know, I need to eat less. And of course, if you eat the wrong thing, then you will have to eat less, because the wrong thing might contain too many calories for the nutrients. So, you know, like, you end up eating more, and that's when you start to like not find any solution because you eat the wrong thing, and maybe you don't know, and then you know, like, that also like creates eating disorder. I remember, I don't know if you know about Dr. John McDougall. talking a lot about that, about eating disorder due to people eating the wrong thing without knowing, and that makes them, if they want to stay thin, they have to restrict calories. When if you eat the right food, plants, you know, like it's so enjoyable because it makes you feel good, like you said, and you can eat so much of it, and it's then it becomes a different relationship with food. You see food as like energy, and so you know, like you wanna eat some, you're happy to eat some, makes you feel good, makes you feel better.
So I was wondering, like, since you've gone maybe vegetarian and then plant-based, and now you're a professional runner, how has that affected your, you know, yourself and your body and everything?
Yeah, the main thing that I've noticed, like this year has been the first year that I've really consciously made a decision of what I'm eating, and you know, I've been vegetarian for 3 years, but to really kind of get my diet into like a really like a happy, healthy, balanced way. And my results are speaking for themselves, you know, like I've had a year that has been, I never would have dreamt that I'd be, you know, winning Ultra Trail Australia and second at the Marathon du Mont Blanc 80K. And I think that what I'm noticing a lot is that my sleep is a lot better. And I spoke to someone about it the other week, and she was saying that, you know, if you eat a piece of meat before you go to bed, the amount of energy that it takes for you to digest that is going on when you go to sleep, whereas that time should be spent for you to rebuild, recover, and all this. But instead, it's just breaking down that piece of protein that you've put into yourself, and it's such a complex thing of protein. So the first thing that I noticed was that, and that I was able to, you know, with sleep comes recovery. So the recovery after the runs is higher and better. But also, yeah, just kind of like the ability to keep going. Like people have always said to me, you race so much, and I just feel like I owe that a lot to my diet. And I just feel better. I feel happier. I maintain a constant weight a lot easier, which is bizarre because you think I'd have to eat a lot more and it'd be a lot harder to kind of keep that balance, but it feels like my body's just kind of settled, and this is what I perform well at. I don't have to worry about like getting down to race weight, or it's, you know, it all just kind of like levels out, and it's just, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just, you know, this is what I love to eat, and this is what I'm happy to cook, and it's always exciting to me. So I'm happy.
Wow.
So, you know, you talk about like meat and protein, and that's always something that comes often, is like, you know, where do you get your protein?
Where do I get my protein? I get my protein from a lot of lentils and beans, a lot of nuts, tofu. Yeah, like my protein, I was in Chamonix actually, and someone said to me, they said, oh, I'm a bit worried that you're not getting enough protein. And I had this like 1 kilo thing of peanut butter, and I was like, I'm pretty much eating this from the jar, and I'd put that as on my veggies as a satay sauce, and I was like, you have no idea how much protein is in this. And I think that people really underestimate the power of what is in plants and stuff like that. It's really, but yeah, no, I get it from the beans, the lentils, the tofus, the nuts, everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much our answer too. But it's a really common question, especially here in France. So we've been getting that a lot too.
Yeah. So yeah, you talk about like you know, someone asking you last time at Chamonix, like, how is your relationship with other pro athletes with like, because of your food? Like, is it something that comes back often when, I guess, you know, maybe you have to train with other pro athletes, or maybe when you go with the team Salomon to do some training camp? Like, how is that playing into your game?
So everyone's really interested in it. I think that it's still quite new to have, like, I was always told you can't be a vegetarian runner, let alone a vegan runner, and especially as a female. And so when I was especially in Chamonix, you know, I stayed with the Salomon team, and there was no one who was vegetarian, and there was a few gluten-free people, but I think they were all just really interested. And one of my I think because of my history with food, I'm very, very knowledgeable on it. Like, I'm very educated. I love to read about it. I'm very fascinated, and because I want to do it right and I want to do it healthily, I'm constantly looking on the web and for answers to things, and how can I make things work. And so it's really cool to be able to share this with people. And I think that, you know, Emily Forsberg is now vegetarian.
And I saw that.
Yeah, so, you know, and even that, she's pretty conscious about the other things that she chooses to eat. And she's a very much a, you know, she's okay to eat the dairy and the milk and stuff as long as she knows where it's from. And it's a very kind of organic place to get it from. So I think it's definitely a change in the wind in terms of ultra running and things like that. And it's really cool to just be that person that people kind of shoot messages through to and ask, you know, how do you make it work? What do I need to know? And yeah, it's really cool to kind of share that, especially with the Salomon team. Obviously, I want my teammates to have the upper hand.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We see it taking off too in the sport, and people are noticing the athletes that are plant-based performing really well, and it's growing. Yeah, it's just starting in the running world, because before it was seen as something that you can't do, but now we are proving them wrong. So that's pretty cool. We have some people in the chat room just agreeing with you, saying like they love your Instagram and it's so inspiring to see you, like, your food and your running. So doing it right.
Yeah. Could you share with us and everyone watching right now your resources? You said like you do research on the internet to find out what's the best food, and so what's your favorite resource and where do you go to find all this information?
If you have like a few go-tos, because most people do.
Yeah, look, I'm just someone who punches it into Google and clicks on the first link kind of thing, and then goes back 4 or 5 just to double check that it's all okay. I wouldn't say there's something that I always refer to. I for a lot of my like recipes and stuff, I like to use like the Minimalist Baker and Oshi Glows, which are two vegan resources that for recipes, and I kind of will use them as my base. And she also talks a lot before the recipe about, you know, how all the nutrients work together and food combining and how you can get the most out of your food. So I think I learned a lot through that, but also, yeah, I'd say I just Google it. Like, I'm not someone who has one website. I'm open to hearing it all.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's go back a little bit and maybe share with us like how this all became a profession. Like, when did that start, and when did you start doing this, and like when did you join the Salomon team? When did you start traveling, like, really, and all of that?
So I still don't think I don't call myself professional at all. I still think I'm on my gap year that's gone for 3 years, and I'm just lazy to go back and try to do some study.
No way.
It's kind of something I fell into. So I finished school and I was like, I'm going to go. My mum moved over to Europe because my parents split up, and I was like, oh, well, I'll go visit her. And obviously running was very much a passion, so I found some races to do and paid my way. I joined Salomon when I was 18. So when I left school, I joined them officially because my parents said, you don't need a sponsor, you don't need that pressure whilst you're in school, which is really was a smart decision at the time. It broke my heart, but it was okay. And then, so that year went by and I had some good results. I wouldn't say it was my best year. I was kind of out of school, not in my best shape. And then,
how did that happen then? Like, you were so young, 18. Or was
did they see your result on races and approach you? Or?
The first 100K that I ran, I won a pair of Salomon Sense shoes. I still have them. They're my favorite pair. They're so old school. They've got holes everywhere. But I wore them non-stop, like road, trail, anything. I was wearing them. I was wearing them at work, at the bakery. I lived in them. And then I went to another Salomon sponsored event, and the rep was there, the representative, and she saw my shoes and she said, "Wow, you must really like them because you're wearing them until the sole's coming off." And she goes, "I'll give you another pair." Like, I was just there to watch my dad, and she was like, "No, you look like you obviously, you know." And so she gave me another pair, and then she's like, "Oh, and here's my email, you know, let us know if you just need another pair. We don't want you running around in these." And she just like became my friend and someone who I really, like, I'd send her, you know, ask her training advice because she was a runner herself, and we just formed this relationship. And I had no intention of like taking it further. I was just like, this is a really cool girl, like she's helped me out with a pair of shoes, this is sweet. And then I came second in the Big Red Run in the Simpson Desert. And she was like, "Oh, you know, maybe we can make this, you know, into something a bit more." And so she threw me a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. And I thought I was sponsored by that. I was like, well, that's enough for me. Like, I'm done. And so we, yeah, and just kind of kept this relationship. She was on as the same thought as my parents, that, you know, you don't need to be sponsored when you're in school. So she was like, "I'm just happy to support you with a t-shirt now and then." And then, yeah, and then I went overseas in my gap year, and yeah, kind of ran in that pair of shorts, that t-shirt, and wore that down. And then, yeah, and then they kind of just, yeah, I don't really know what happened. It just kind of all happened, and and now I'm in a position where I have a million pairs of shoes, a million pairs of shorts, and it's far more than I need.
That is so cool. What a cool story. And now, yeah, you're traveling with the Salomon team. And so how old are you right now then?
21. I turned 21 on the Ultra Trail Australia 100K day, on the race day. So that was my birthday present, was running that race, and winning it was a cherry on top. So yeah, 21 now.
That is amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, how do you organize your season? Like, do you do it yourself, or is Salomon telling you should do that race? Or?
I'm someone who, I don't like being told what to do, and I think Salomon have picked that up pretty quickly. So I'm someone who at the moment is just building my own calendar. I get invites and I'm like, oh, that's a cool place to see. And I'm more about, you know, like, I just want to see as much as I can, because I feel like, you know, now I can do that. Next year I've spoken to Salomon, and they're a bit more like, we want you to do some of our big races, and now I want that competition, whereas before I was like, I just want to see cool places and, you know, kind of ride this as long. Didn't think that it was going to be a long-term thing, so I thought I'd just ride it while I could. And yeah, so next year I'll probably be a bit smarter, but I'm a vicious over racer. I love to race. I love to go to new places, and every time I get an invite, it's like, oh, I could fit that in. Like, I can totally fit that in. And then my dad or my mum will be like, do you think that's a bit much? And I'll be like, probably. Like, and as the competition is stronger and travel catches up to you, I've realized that I can't do as much as I think I can. And now I know that I want to make this into a long-term thing, so I'm not in a rush anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, so even your 10K that you just did, when was it? Like the last weekend?
No, it was like yesterday.
Oh, right? Yeah, I guess, yes, Sunday. Was that like just a local 10K or?
Yeah, that was just, it was like my auntie was running in the race, and it's the furthest she's ever run. And I said, oh, I'll come along and support you. And she ended up like my bib came in the mail, and she was like, oh no, you don't need to support me. You can just run and then come support me. So I ended up doing the race as well, which was really cool, just to share the day with her. And my mum, she never gets to see me race because I race a lot overseas or in Australia. So it was cool for her to come along. You know, 10K, it wasn't long for her to wait, which was nice. And yeah, so it was cool. Just a bit of fun, really.
Wow. So I'm really interested to hear about your last two races, because like, that's amazing. You're like really getting yourself on the map as a runner. I mean, the female runner scene, like, it's just taking off. Ladies are doing so well. And your win in Australia was really cool. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the race and how it went and
how
like,
did you
recap.
approach that race?
Yeah, so this race, Ultra Trail Australia, was meant to be, it's on my 21st birthday, and I said to Dad, we should just go up and have a really nice, like, he'll run and I'll run, and, you know, I ran this race on my 18th birthday, or 2 days before my 18th, and I ran it really badly. I was just I was during year 12 exams for school, and I was just really unfit, and it was more of just a release for, just to get out there. So I felt like I had unfinished business. But again, I kind of doubted my fitness going into it this year. So I was like, oh, you know, I'll just run it, really, like, have some fun. It's my birthday. I'll run with like a balloon attached to myself or a party hat on or something. And then I went up to train on the course it was meant to be 3 days. I was just going to fly up, see a little bit of the course, fly down, and I ended up staying 4 weeks on the course and running sections and going, hey, like, this is actually a really beautiful course, much nicer than I remember it. And I really think that I could do well here. And I started to, you know, put some times down and think, you know, I could run 11 hours on this course, which Nuria Pickus ran the course record in just under 11 hours. And so suddenly this race became this massive deal to me. And I was like, whoa, that exploded pretty quick. Like, first I was just going to jog it maybe with my dad as a bit of fun. And now I'm like, I want to win this. I want to break the course record. I want to, like, and yeah, I had a lot of support going into it, and a lot of people that were like, you know, you need to have a breakout race. Like, I've had some good races, but I needed something. And it had been a while since I'd felt like I really gave everything to a race. And then I just had an Australian Salomon runner, Maëlle Backhausen, who's also from Australia, sponsored by Salomon, and a good friend of mine. He coached me towards it, and we just put in this 8-week block of training where I finished it going, I can win this. And I dreamt of this race for that 8 weeks. I was like, yep, it's going to be sunshine, and I'm going to run up the last climb. I'm going to be way ahead of everyone. I'm going to be smiling. It's going to be all like, you look like Emily Forsberg, because she always looks so nice at the end of races. Not like where I finish, where I'm like a tomato and I'm like got snot hanging down my nose. And yeah, it doesn't work out. And then, so race day came, and it was like pouring with rain. The course had been changed, and I was like, well, that's my dream gone. So it's going to be an interesting day. And yeah, like the race went really, really well. Like, my Maëlle had told me, you don't lead from the start. Like, sit with second. If you're feeling easy, that's great. Like, if easy is good. And I led from the beginning, and it was just like, as I was running this first 5K road section, I was like, I've just done everything he told me not to do. Like, this is, and I knew that he was waiting for me at like 15K, and I was like, he's going to hate when he sees where I am right now. And yeah, and then I just kind of ran my own race. Like, I've never led a race from the start. I've never had the guts to do that. So it was awesome to kind of have this like being hunted feel. I actually really enjoyed it, and I had my brother crewing me, and he was amped to be out there and amongst it all because he'd never seen it. But I was chased by an Australian runner, Hanny Alston, or a Tassie runner, and she's a world orienteering champion as a junior and one of the best marathon runners that she runs like a 240 marathon or something. And she was running the 100K as well. And we kind of were 8 minutes apart, and then it got down to 3 minutes apart. And at 80K, we did this like little out and back, and I saw her, and I was like being a turtle up this hill, like, and I saw her, and I was like, oh, I've got to run to make myself look like I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like jogging on the spot, and she was like on the downhill and like flying, and I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And I was like, oh, you know, good work or something, and tried to be nice. I tried to be like, oh, this is, you know, I'm fresh. And but we crossed paths, and she said to me, I'm done, like, I'm cooked. And I was like, yeah, sure, like, yeah, like, I'm not either. And I was like, she's just playing with me. And then my brother said at the next checkpoint that she sat down at that checkpoint and took a break. So I had 20 minutes, but I was like, no, you're lying to me. She's right behind me. It's still 3 minutes. And I ran my heart out. I never really cry. I'm not a big cry emotional person, but at that finish line, I had nothing left but tears. I don't know, because I was so dehydrated, how I still had room. I was, I'd never been so emotional, and I was so happy that my brother was there. Mayel was there. The lady that I'd stayed with for 4 weeks was there, and just everyone was really invested in it. And it was more than that dream. That dream was nice, but to live it and for it to be the day it was amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect day. Was it like your best race so far?
Oh, hands down, yeah. I don't think I've ever been into a race where I was like, or maybe one other race, but I've kind of gone, I will be here at this time, I'll be here at this time, I will finish in 11 hours. And I finished in 10:54 or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it was, and there was a course change, so I was like, I don't really know what this section's going to be like, and I was just like a nervous wreck in the lead up to it, but I was confident in myself, and it's something that I don't really have. Like, I'm pretty like, I don't really know what my fitness is, but I knew my fitness was there, and yeah, it was just a dream. It was my best race, and yeah, I think that I'll never forget it.
Wow. So how did you get the course record?
Well, because the course was changed, it was different. Yeah.
So I'm really interested, I mean, especially because for everyone watching that doesn't know, Gwen just ran his first 100-miler 2 days ago. And nutrition while running is a huge thing. And you said you were dehydrated. So what was your nutrition plan like? Like, what can you eat on a race when you're putting that much effort into it?
So I'm sponsored by Cliff Bar. So I use their shot blocks are my go-to. I love them, especially in the 100K distance. I find them very, they fill my stomach, like a gel just kind of feels like it gets washed through. But a shot block, you actually get to chew, so you feel like you're eating something. Probably the weirdest thing that I was eating was pickles out of a jar. I used to hate them. Like when I used to, God forbid, when I used to go to McDonald's, I'd pull them out of my burger and stuff like that. And I never thought there'd be a day that I was like, give me the jar of pickles. I need that. So I really just ate it off fruit, some dates, some bananas, oranges, anything fruit at the checkpoints.
Yeah.
Shot blocks and pickles. Yeah.
And you felt good? Like you didn't feel nauseous? Your stomach was solid?
I have an iron gut. Like I could eat oatmeal, which I would choose to on a run. I would eat, like I would love to have had some sweet potato out there, some salted sweet potato and stuff, but I just wasn't organized. My mind was in other places. And I was kind of like, I knew my stomach could take anything. So I just wanted to keep it as minimal as I could in terms of like digestion and stuff. But yeah, like I had no low points really. I had like a little section where I just didn't want it. Like I couldn't not eat. I was just like, I don't really want another chocolate gel. Like I'm a little bit over it, which is totally normal. And that's when the pickles were like, oh my gosh, this is like savory and salty, and it was just nice. Yeah.
Wow, that is like a dream race then.
Yeah, it's something that even going into the Mont Blanc race afterwards, I really drew a lot of confidence from and kind of had faith in myself, because I've realized that that's kind of the key to bringing out your best, is having the confidence to go, I can be my best on this day. I think a lot of people, their body's there, but their mind isn't, and it's something that I've definitely worked on.
Wow.
So leading up to the race in Chamonix, you said that you kind of finished dehydrated. Like, did you learn something about your hydration plan during that race that you improved during the Mont Blanc Marathon or the 80K?
Yeah, totally. So I went into the Mont Blanc race feeling like I probably shouldn't be racing. It was 4 or 5 weeks after UTA 100.
Wow.
I don't think I really understood, I didn't think I realized how big an 80K this was until I was like, oh, I wonder how much nutrition I'll need to take to France with me. And I was like, oh, so how long will I be out there? And I saw the lady's results was like 14, 13 hours. And I was like, oh, like, wow, I'm going to be, that's more than the 100K. So that's when I was like, oh, this is a bad idea. Like, and so I went into this race with like, yeah, that kind of mindset that I could just learn from it. I could take what I'd learned from UTA and put it into practice and, you know, hope that my body will be okay. And so going into this race, every fountain, every stream that I crossed, I put my hat in, I drank some water, and I peed twice, which is just unreal, to actually need to go to the toilet. So yeah, I definitely improved on that because that's a good sign.
So did you not pee at all during your 100K?
No. Yeah, I know. That's how bad it got.
Oh wow, that's insane.
I mean, you said twice during the 80K?
Yeah.
Like how many hours did you do?
13 and a half.
That's
wow,
crazy. Like it makes me feel like
I mean, I was peeing all the time last weekend.
I felt like I was drinking. I probably drank 8 or 9 liters of water in that 13 and a half hours. Like I was hoeing it down, and just like submerging my head in fountains and just like taking gulps of that water, which was mixed with my sweat, which wasn't so good. But yeah,
it was really hot too, so you were like sweating a lot.
Yeah, it was really warm, and we were up high a lot. So it was the sun really dehydrates you really quickly up there. And I don't think people noticed because you had like a cool breeze and a little bit of like there was snow up on the, and you were kind of like, oh, well, it can't be that bad. But that's where I think that I was more knowledgeable than the others because I caught up to people in the back end because I don't think we're on top of things earlier, whereas I was from the very beginning. I probably started the race still dehydrated from all the traveling, so I was pretty aware of it. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a question from Romana in the chat room. Romana, is it a woman or?
Well, I don't know.
He or she, I guess. Say really a good job in Chamonix. And how do you stay mentally strong until the end?
This is a good question. I think that like I get stronger towards the end of races. That's kind of like my strength. I'm not really a great climber or a descender, but I'm just a mentally stubborn person. I think that Mont Blanc at Chamonix was the first race that I've raced until the very end, where I've kind of, me in third place, where we finished a minute apart, and on the 5K final descent on the switchbacks we could see each other, and that was like, wow. Yeah, just like a horrible way to finish a 13 and a half hour run, because I was like, oh, I just want to like cruise in and like make myself look pretty for this finish. And instead I'm like, oh, I just want to put more Coke in my body and get more caffeine in and get there. And so, yeah, I think that it comes down to just being really well, a lot of good nutrition. Like, to stay mentally aware, you need to be fueled, and I think that was something that I did really well in Chamonix, especially. I was using really good gels with caffeine and stuff, so I was really aware and really kind of like, okay. And then I think that it's just about kind of training that, you know, doing those long runs where the last bit is the hardest bit, or you push for the final section, and just kind of, yeah, you know, giving yourself the chance to really hurt and to really see what you're made of. And I think that that's what I wanted to do in Chamonix. I wanted to see, you know, how do I compete against, you know, international races. In UTA it was great, but I knew the Australian racing community. I know every runner that was in the top 10 pretty much. But in Chamonix it was a whole new ball game, and it was just a lot of fun to see. And I think that I was just mentally prepared that it could be a big day out and it could be a big fight. And yeah, I think you just got to prepare yourself for that.
When did you start to really hurt during the 80K in Chamonix?
I think I just started to hurt really early on, and I think that this is because of UTA was still with me.
Mm.
I was second or third, well, with second up the first climb, and then I dropped to fifth or sixth because my legs were just like, we don't want to go downhill, and my stomach was like, we just had like a lot of gels in the last 5 weeks. We don't need to have some more. And I think that I wasn't really in a racing state to begin with. I was kind of like, oh, this is good training for my next race. And yeah, I just really wasn't in it. And then kind of like 3 hours of that. And then after that, from slowing down, was able to get some food in and pushed a little. But with pushing comes that fatigue and stuff. So I probably started to really suffer at about 65K. And the thing is that this 80K race was 92 kilometers. It was really, really long. And so that was really hard for me mentally, because when I was feeling bad, I was like, okay, 10 more K and I'm halfway, and then we'll count down from 40, which is like my mental way of getting through things. Yeah. If I'd known at that point that it was actually 92K and I was not even a third of the way through, I probably would have stopped or cried or like been in a really bad place. But yeah, like I didn't know that, so I was like, okay, it's 80K as far as I know. My tattoo on my arm says it's 85K, so okay, that's another 5K, let alone adding another 7 on top of that. I was kind of like, okay, come on, race organizers, this is crazy. But yeah, and then kind of I'd passed 4th place at 80K on the last climb. And I was like, oh, third, like this is sweet. You know, I'm happy with this. I'll just kind of like, I knew that she wasn't going to catch me. And the place back from that was like half an hour back. Like there was a bit of a gap. So I was like, oh, third's awesome. Stoked with that. And I was like, I'm just going to cruise in now. And then I got into the last checkpoint with 7K to go or something. And I saw second, and it was like, oh, you have the opportunity to go up a place. But I'm quite comfortable, like third. I'd accepted that was a good place to be, and I was happy with that. And that's when I was like, no, Lucy, you fight to the end. Second is much better than third. Like, you can do this. And it was really kind of cool to be like, oh, you know, I'm still as competitive as I was when I started running. So that's cool. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm really curious to know, I don't know if you had like a peak training week in between the 100K and the 80K, because it was only 4 weeks, but when was like your peak training for either of these races? And like, could you share with us what a week looked like? And like, what was your longest run? Like, what was your hardest workout? I'm just so curious.
Yeah, so probably there was nothing between UTA and Mont Blanc. It was pretty much just, I took 2 weeks off after UTA, of no running, which is, I don't think I've done that in 3 years. So that was a really welcome break. And then it was kind of like a week of, I went to Reunion Island and did a small like 20K race there. And then it was just pretty much managing my body and eating and sleeping, and just moving. When I got to Chamonix, it was just nice to kind of find that hiking again. But before UTA was when I did the big weeks. So I had kind of an 8-week training block, and within that, probably my weeks got up to about 140K. And I did some back-to-back runs of a 50K and a 45K. And that was my biggest weekend of like a 5-hour and a 6-hour run. But yeah, a lot of the sessions were just, I would do 2 double days with an interval and a hill training, a tempo run, 2 long runs, and a rest day. So yeah, it was a lot of running. It was, you know, it was borderline to me where it was not enjoyable, but it was like, okay, I can do this for a finite amount of time, but yeah, I need to know that at the end of this, there's a taper, a race, and then a time off. And I think that that's why I was so okay with taking the 2 weeks after the race, was because I really gave the training my all. And people are following on me on Strava and Instagram realize, you know, they could see that my kilometers just went through the roof. You know, it was all hard running. It was
Yeah, it was hard, and that's what I'm interested in. Like
Hmm.
that week that you just mentioned was like, not only was it high mileage, but those workouts were hard.
Yeah, yeah. And it was really, this is, Mael Backhausen coaching me, and he just kind of, I really respect him as a person and a runner. And I really wanted to make him proud and do the sessions that he set me and to reach the goals. And I just felt like I was really held accountable. And there was a lot of people that were like, oh, wow, like she's really putting in for this. So it was cool. I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people joining me for some runs or workouts and, making me push, which is just, that you can't beat. You can't beat having a training partner with you. And so, yeah, like at times I doubted the training, going, this is far too much, or this, I shouldn't be doing this. And, hats off to him. He got me into shape. He got me to the race. He got me to the finish line. And, yeah, he'll get me through to TDS as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah, we have a good question that fits perfectly right now with what we are talking about, is talking about basically how you stay injury-free. And that's perfect because we can, maybe give advice like you are training really hard, racing a lot. And how do you keep injury-free? Is it through like doing some body workout, or maybe food, maybe rest, maybe sleep, maybe I don't know, meditation?
But the question specifically is saying like what type of body work. And I know you're really into core, and I love that you do like your join me in my ab workout thing, because I've been doing it with you. So that's cool.
Ah, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a combination of all those things. Hey, like you've got to have nutrition, you've got to sleep, you've got to stretch, you've got to roll, you've got to do strength work, to be able to do all the races and to stay injury free. I think for me, like I practice what's called body balance here, but it's a mixture. I teach it. It's a mixture of Pilates, yoga, and Tai Chi. And it's something that I found, it's really low impact. It's an hour, but it picks up when things are out of balance, if something's a little off. And I'm someone who's very much in tune with my body. I really listen to it after not listening to it back when I was younger. I'm very aware of it now. And, like touch wood, I've not had any injuries, starting 100 Ks at 16, and I'm 21 now, and I have not had, I've had like a little sore knee or a rolled ankle, but it's nothing that stopped me running. But yeah, the strength workout, the body exercises, the core is your base. That's your trunk, and that is so important. Since doing core workouts, the way that you run, being able to breathe, being upright, keeping your back safe, it all comes from the core. And so I really recommend at finishing a run 10 minutes early, 5 minutes early, and just adding on 5-10 minutes of a planking, anything. Like you can look on my Instagram, there's videos of many videos of different exercises you can do. These few weeks that I'm in the UK, because I don't have the mountains and I'm not running isn't so interesting around here because it's pretty flat, pretty like concrete. So I've actually been going to the gym. So I've really enjoyed this. Like I've started to do some other things. I'm growing my arms to use poles. And it's a nice challenge and a nice change. So I'll be making some videos and stuff on Instagram and Facebook of different exercises that you can do, because not everyone has the opportunity to go onto race course, live on the race course, be in the mountains if that's where they're racing. So I think it's really cool to be kind of like, I am from a flat place, but I can compete in the mountains, and I can show people what I can do.
So I find that really interesting, this whole thing, because like I think I'm really like you, where I just like running easy. Like I love it. I like to just be out in the mountains and just like have fun running. And I know I need to do strength and I need to do abs, but I'm like, I really don't want, like, I'd rather just be out there. But I've started to the last month or so, and I really think it has helped me a lot in my, like, I'm recovering from an injury. But what, like, I don't know, what would you say, like, really motivates you to do that? And how often do you do it every day, like your core workout, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, like, I think the hardest thing about the strength work, especially the stuff that I do, which is just at home, like I don't, you know, I wouldn't pay a gym membership. I wouldn't, yeah, like I'm not interested in that. Yeah, that's why I like running, is that it's free and I can just do it anywhere. And I think that the hardest thing is that you do it at home. So it's easier just to lie on the couch than it is to be on the floor and, you know, planking and sweating and, you know, not, you know, hurting your core. But I think that for me, like my biggest motivation is the support I have on social media. You know, like if me doing it means that someone else will do it, then I'll do it and then I'll post about it. And my hope is that I get people like yourself that say, you know, I did it because you did it. And so that just kind of spirals and I just keep going. And, you know, I think that once you start to see the improvement, you're more likely to keep going. And you just got to get over that first 2 weeks maybe, but it doesn't have to be much. And that's what I want to stress is that, like, I do this half an hour workout, right? But I don't think that everyone needs to do this. This is me being a full-time athlete. I have all day. You know, I can only run for a certain amount of time. So for me to be half an hour doing some exercises is probably, you know, it fills up a good portion of the afternoon. People that are working don't have the same recovery, don't have that time that I have. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be extreme. And make it, you know, make it enjoyable. Like put the TV on, you know, do some crunches and look up at the TV if you need to, if that's what it motivates you. Be like, I'm going to eat, I don't know, a bowl of peanut butter, which is what I would want after it. You know, have that reward because it's worth it. And once you then see the effects of it and notice it in your running, you won't need to have that. You won't need to have the peanut butter waiting, the TV on. You'll just do it because you'll be like, this is changing me and this is making me better.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If I can share something that motivates me is listening to some podcasts. I don't know if you like to listen to podcasts, but the podcast from Rich Roll, he has someone that really inspires me, and especially the one from David Goggins. I don't know if you have heard this one, David Goggins, and the one from Josh LaJaunie.
I haven't heard this one, no.
Josh LaJaunie is also like really good. Like we had him on the show, I think our second show, and anyone that is looking for inspiration, you guys should definitely go listen to this. I mean, these two podcasts are like my favorite one with Rich Roll. Like I listen to them over and over during my last 100-miler when you know things are going really bad and it's hard to focus on positive things. I just listen to that and it just like kept me going.
Yeah, cool. So if you're gonna listen to it, just like do a little plank while you're listening to it if you're at home.
Yeah, I was just running 100-mile.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Like do whatever you need to do to get you through in the beginning. Because I think there is this huge like hump. And the same thing with running, with whatever. But once you start, like now I'm definitely hooked on my core workouts because I can see the improvements and I feel better doing them, and then it's like all downhill from there. Then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, well, it's like anything. You change your diet the first week or so. You're like, oh, all I want is a thing that I can't have. And then as you start to adapt and as you start to feel good, and you're like, oh, hang on, maybe this is, and it works for me. Then it's really easy. And I think that it's just being strong enough to get through those first 2 weeks, maybe 10 days, and then you start to. It just becomes routine.
Cool. Yeah.
So what is next for you? So you said you have the TDS coming up in August, and then do you have any plan yet?
I want to do the Ultra Trail Cape Town in South Africa. So that's 100K in December. Which would be really, really cool, but it would mean that my season is really long because normally I will stop around when I get back from Europe, which is normally September, October. So I'm a little bit kind of like, but I can start my season later next year. So I was thinking of jumping at that opportunity, which is no one's surprised by. But that's kind of the plan. But at the moment, it's all about TDS. Nothing else matters.
And So when you end your season, do you still run, or is it just, do you take time off, or is it low mileage? Like what does the off season look like?
Oh yeah, they're still running.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm a terrible person to be around.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, look, it just means there's no plan. It's if people want to, if I spend a lot of time running at that time with my dad. I really prioritize getting out and running with him at his pace and going to some beautiful places and not making it about the running, but just about spending time with him. And also now my brother that he's running. So it's more about that. And yeah, just having no plan. I love to swim and to cycle, so I'll do a bit of that. Bake some more, cook some more, you know, it's just doing the things I enjoy in the amounts that I enjoy. There's no pressure.
Okay, cool. I'm taking off my shoe real quick. Okay, have you ever been to South Africa?
No.
Oh man,
Cape
Town is amazing. We've been there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our favorite places.
Yeah.
Well, I love to surf and I love the mountains, and all I've seen is pictures of mountains and the beach. So I think it's heaven for me.
It is. Like, it's incredible. Cape Town, the mountain, like Table Mountain's right there. I hope you go. You're gonna love it.
So now that you said that you love, the mountain, you love to surf, and you said that you went in La Réunion. What about the big race in La Réunion? Is that like a plan anytime soon?
Yeah, totally. I went there this year for it was the French University Championships, which is just like the youth's racing. So it was 24K, and it was just like horrible for me because after training for a 100K race, I was ready to start at the finish line. But I spoke to the race organizer of the Grand Raid, and I said, I think that's probably more my style. So it's definitely one of the plans. I love the island. I couldn't believe what it has to offer. So I was there for only a few days, and I can't wait to get back there and yeah, to see more.
Yeah, that's definitely a race that we also want to do because it's really amazing. I mean, I've never been to La Réunion, but it's a French island, so I've been dreaming about going there for a long time. And this race going, like through the island, seems to be like just so amazing.
Yeah, and the people love it. Like, they're very involved in it. Like, I don't speak a word of French, and they don't speak a word of English on that island. Like, it's pretty French, and still we were able to kind of like come together over trail running and over the Grand Raid especially. They were so keen to have me back. Yet we didn't really communicate on any words, but it's pretty cool when you can interact with each other just through a mutual passion for something. And yeah, I can't wait to go back.
Cool. So I'm interested to know so when are you going to go? This race is August, you said 23rd or 28th. So when are you going to go back to Chamonix, and like, what are you going to, if you don't speak French, like, what do you do when you go back there? Like, are you staying with the Salomon team and that's your little bubble and you're going to get by, and how does that work?
No, so in Chamonix, everyone speaks English. It's almost, they don't even need to try to speak French because it's just quicker if you just speak your language. Which is why I don't know French, because I have been to Chamonix for 3 years and you don't get forced to learn anything. I learned more in my 4 days on Reunion Island because I was forced to learn. I think I'm okay at like reading things. Like, I can read menus, and especially I can pick out the vegetarian and the vegan options or what is not. But yeah, like, if you're not forced to do it, you can go into Chamonix, you can live a normal life. And yeah, like, I've got friends who've moved there, and they've been living there for 2 years now. They don't speak a word of French, but they get by just fine.
That's good news for me, because that's my situation. Like, he's my translator, and because I have him, I don't have to learn French. And it's horrible because my French family is very devastated that I'm not learning French, but cool.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so then in Chamonix, like, it's gonna be, is this like a goal race? You're really looking forward to doing well at this race, right?
Oh, this is like, UTA was an A race. This is like the capital A race. This is has been a big deal to me for a while because you have to be 21 to do any of the races. So now I'm 21 and I was gonna run the UTMB, but I decided probably not. The UTMB is my first 100 miler, just to maybe to learn in one beforehand and then really give you UTMB the respect and the training that it deserves. So yeah, this is a big race. My dad's coming across. He's also going to run it. My brother will be there. So it's just another race where I'll put all I can into it and hope for another good day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's the distance of it again?
125K with 7,500 meters.
Okay. Wow. That's gonna be awesome. So do you know what your first 100 miler will be?
Well, if I'm not running Ultra Trail Cape Town, there's one in Australia in November that I was pretty keen to do. It covers some of my favorite running tracks. It's called the Great Southern Endurance Run, and it's 100 miles with 10,000 meters, just like the UTMB. So it would be a good one to go out to learn and to do. But if I do Ultra Trail Cape Town, I don't know what it will be. I think I'll have to have a little search because UTMB will be next year, so I need to find something to do before that.
Wow, that sounds amazing. That's really inspiring. It's cool to hear what you have coming next and like how you're thinking about it all. And it's an inspiration for me because I'm really new to trail running or running at all and going as too, and so hearing your stories and how you're like going about it and approaching it and thinking about it is it's amazing. I mean, I'm sure people watching feel the same way. So thank you for sharing your thoughts.
And I hope that we will be on the same race one day, you know?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I think it's really cool that you guys are putting it out there to the world that like this is these are runners, this is what you can be, this is what you can do. I think that, I don't know if you know Jim Walmsley, who's kind of like the big deal at the moment in ultra running. And I feel like, especially in Australia, ultra running is so new that it can go in any direction. And I think it's really cool, the opportunity that we have to take it in certain ways. And I think that you guys, by putting out there the whole plant-based athlete thing and sharing that it is possible, because all of those people that kind of told me that I couldn't do it are probably telling everybody else. So it's really cool to kind of like to make it known that it's possible and that you can be happy and healthy and performing your best and completing 100 miles like you did and feeling fine the next day. That's crazy.
Yes, exactly. And we're really stoked to get other people on. Maybe Emily one day. And how long has she been vegetarian now?
I wouldn't know. Probably a year or so. I know that she was like just ate fish for a little bit because in Norway the fish is amazing. It's very good quality, so it's very cultural. But yeah, like people like Sage Canaday, he's leading the way. He's someone who personally inspired me at the very beginning, and his girlfriend Sandy. So getting someone like them on would be sweet.
Oh yeah, we watch all.
Yeah, we are like huge fan of. We always comment on their videos and stuff. That's a great resource. For example, people watching here and that are wondering where they can find information. Sage Canaday has so many videos, and now he talks even more about food. So it's really interesting.
And Sandy, they both do. So they both have YouTube channels. They both do a lot of really, really inspiring stuff. They're good resources. Rich Roll. There is a lot of movement, happening these days in the plant-based endurance world. So it's very cool. And like you said, I think what's really cool, like about Jim Walmsley, is like he put it out there. It's such a new sport, trail running and ultra trail running, and all these amazing athletes are just getting into it. And he put it out there that he wanted to, do 14 hours, and he went for it. He didn't succeed, but he's tried now 2 years in a row at Western States, and that takes a lot of guts, and it's really inspiring. So seeing people just like paving their own path is awesome. And
it's really cool to to have this, like, he's got a different mentality to what someone like I don't see myself at all like he is. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to win this, I'm going to course record. I'm like, I don't really know how I'm going to feel. And I just, like, we're two different runners, but, you know, and two different people that have different upbringings. He ran track in college and stuff like that. I, you know, was very, very sick from running. And so, but we still, like, can meet in the middle of, like, sharing this sport. And I think that that's really cool to kind of show that it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what color you are, what size you are. You know, we can all be in this. We can all stand on the start line together. And I think that that's, yeah, I think that's a really cool, it's a different sport because you can do that. And yeah, it's pretty awesome to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you get better with age too. That's another crazy thing about this sport.
And I think, like, this, you know, everything you mentioned is, like, maybe more present in trail running than road running. And I think that's, like, that's really cool. Yeah, it's, you know, it's sharing
sharing the love for the trail.
This passion for, like, you know, nature and being out there and enjoying. Like, if you walk during an ultra, it's not gonna be, it's good. You can actually enjoy it because you look around and it's beautiful. But if you are, like, doing a road marathon and you have to walk, you feel horrible because everyone is running and pushing you on the side. I remember my sister, she's running and she was saying, like, she was running her first half marathon or something, and people were, like, telling her, like, move on the side, like, because she was, like, walking and she was in the way. When, like, in trail running, it's not like that at all. Like, if someone is walking, you actually, like, you know, take time to say, like, are you okay? You know, do you need something? You would give a gel or you know, something. Like, it's totally a different spirit, and that's why we, you know, we are totally in love with trail running.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that, you know, like, in road running, and what I realized on the weekend was, like, I was standing on this start line. I don't look like a road runner. I don't run in, like, my underwear and sports bra. You know, I run in shorts and t-shirt, and, you know, I'm strong, not skinny kind of thing. And people were like, oh, so what's your 5K time? And I was like, you know, like, in ultras, in trail running especially, you don't ask that because it's irrelevant in the mountains. Like, great, you run a 2:30 marathon. Let's see you climb this 1,500 meter hill. And I just think that, like, because in trail running, every step is different, every race is going to be different, you know, the conditions, the course, you can't compare. Whereas in road running, it's 5K times is pretty equivalent across all your races, and you can compare and you can rank, and there's a real hierarchy. It's like, oh, well, if you run a sub 20-minute 5K, then you're here, and if you run a sub 17, then you're here. Whereas in trail running, it's like, oh, you ran Western States in 15 hours, great, but you ran UTMB in, like, 20, like, and they're both 100 miles, but they're worlds apart. And I think that, you know, yeah, everyone is just, like, having a go in ultra running at the moment, kind of, like, seeing what's out there. And it's really, really cool that people are just, you know, paying to be uncomfortable and to, like, see what they're made of and see these areas. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's such a cool thing. And it is, yeah, it is worlds apart from, like, what's the time? What was your 5K time?
Yeah. You said it's not about comparing to other. It's about the personal challenge. Like, how did yourself handle it during a race? Because and we see it, like, in road running, like, you don't really get inspired from the middle pack runner, but in trail running you can, because maybe the guy is really suffering a lot more than the first one, and you see, like, wow, that's so inspiring. And you can be inspired by any runner in trail running because it's about, like, the personal challenge, the personal journey, and not really about comparing exactly, like, what you did to what someone else did.
Absolutely. And I think that, like, there's a lot of people in this sport are very much about, like, sharing their journey. And for me, I found that, like, one of my worst races last year, I was 3 hours slower than the year before because I had gut issues and I had to just walk it in. But I've never had so many people come up to me and be like, wow, you know, that was inspiring. Like, you know, I've won races and never had the feedback that I had from this race. And it was really, really cool. Whereas, like, you know, I've seen people have bad races in marathons and in road running and stuff like that, and to the point of being like, well, that's the end of my career, you know, like there's no getting out of this. So I think that, yeah, it's just a really cool mix of people in this sport at the moment. And I just hope that with, like, because it's growing, money's coming into it, and there's lots of sponsors and support out there, that it stays that way, because it's definitely got the potential to be an amazing sport and to be big, but at the same time, we don't want to lose those people. And you know, yeah.
Well, yes, thanks so much, Lucy. You inspired us again a lot, and I'm sure many people watching this right now are inspired, and they're gonna probably go on the run right now. So if they want to learn more about you, where can they go?
So I'm on Facebook as Lucy Bartholomew. I'm on Instagram as Lucy_Bartholomew. I'm on Strava as Lucy Bartholomew, and I have a website of www.lucybartholomew.info.
And I was wondering, I was just going to ask this question before Gwen asked that, was like, you are really inspiring and big on social media. Not all runners are, because it takes a certain talent, I think, or a certain passion for sharing your life and being so open about your history and your eating disorder, like all of this, your journey. So how do you see that part? Like, is that pretty important to you? And it works. Like, people are so inspired, and you're able to open up in such a cool way. Do you see yourself like starting a YouTube channel or what?
Yeah, like, I love the social media side of things. There's definitely people that are like, no, I'm just in this sport to run. Like, I'm not interested in, you know, taking pictures of my life. I just want to run. But I love it. I think that I'm so lucky to be in the position I am, to see what I see, and I want to share that. But I think more than anything, and what's developed is that I want to inspire women, especially younger girls, to get out there and to dare to be different, and to take on something that, you know, like when I did this sport, it was a boys' sport. It was going out and getting muddy on the trails. So it's really cool to share that. Starting a YouTube channel, I've had so many people suggest me to do it. But, you know, I say I don't have time, and I do have time. That's me being lazy. But across Facebook and Instagram, I feel like I can cover it all. And I can just talk to you guys every time I need something.
And especially, I mean, you make like so many stories. We always, you know, watch them. It's kind of like the new YouTube, you know.
I know. We love it because, yeah, YouTube, like, I think you have a good mentality about that, because YouTube takes so much time editing videos. But stories are just, we love it, because we don't even want to make videos, and we can just share directly right now, no editing, and it's really real. So keep that up.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm very much someone who doesn't like to like edit my things. I don't like to change what something looks like, and I'm very kind of like raw in terms of the content I provide. If I look bad in a photo, that's cool, like, that's me. And it's the same in my appearance. You know, I'm not someone who like dresses up or puts makeup on. I'm very much like, this is how I was born, and this is how I am. And it's awesome that so many people have chosen to follow that, because it's totally like, I know there's other accounts that take much nicer photos and take a lot of effort to do it, but I really think that people can respond well to just being like, oh, you know, she's red in the face and sweating and snot hanging off her nose, like, she's normal, you know. And that's what people like. Whereas if, you know, if every photo is just like a beautiful photo and a beautiful surroundings, then it's not so authentic. And I really want to be just that. I want to be who I am, and I want people to meet me and go, oh, you're exactly how you are on social media. Because I've had a few people where I've gone, wow, like, you must just Google quotes and put that with your picture, because I don't think you live by these quotes at all. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool, because I think that shows. Like, I feel that totally, everything that you're saying. I think that everything you put out there does seem so authentic. And now meeting you, I love it. Okay, a few questions before we leave, just like random questions. What does a day of food look like for you?
a day of food. So it starts with oats, always my turmeric oats. So it's just oats, turmeric, pepper, some cinnamon with some berries and banana. Then probably after a run will be a smoothie with banana, spinach, vital greens powder, topped with cacao nibs and some nuts.
Yum.
I know. I want this now that I'm talking about it. Lunch is probably, I'm more of a snacker than a lunch person. I'm normally like doing things during the day. So I'll probably make some hummus and have that with some carrots. And then later in the day, eat some apple with some peanut butter. And then later in the day, some pickles and some things. Like I just eat like a whole lot of different stuff. And then for dinner is normally I make like I call it a Buddha bowl, which is pretty much whatever's in the cupboard. So normally with like some sweet potatoes, some baked tofu, some veggies. Yeah, my mom, I've just started where I'm staying with. She thinks that I cook for like 6 people and I eat it all.
Yeah.
She's just blown away with the amount that I can put away. And yeah, so that's probably it.
Cool. I love that. I'm the same way. I eat, like, people see me and I'm tiny and they're like, you cannot eat all that food. And I'm like, I'm going to eat this and 10 bananas later. Like, yeah. So I love seeing you eating all that food.
In the Salomon house, we were a team of 20 runners. And I said to the chefs, I said, have you ever cooked for runners before? And he goes, no, but I didn't realize we're cooking the same amount we'd cook for 60 people. And you guys are all like stick thin and eating so much. And he goes, I'm especially impressed with the girls. And I was like, yeah, this is why we run.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know. It's so cool. And especially being plant-based, we eat a lot. So that's cool to hear your daily food intake. I love it. What is your, let's see, like, what would be the coolest place that you'd want to visit and travel and run to next?
I totally want to go to Antarctica. I don't really like the cold, but I really feel like with the climate change and stuff, it might not be the same and around for so long. So it is a dream to get there as soon as possible.
That is exactly what we needed to hear.
You know, we have been to Antarctica with Sea Shepherd to protect the whales. So we have been there once. We haven't been on the continent. We were just
in the ocean.
You know, in the ocean in Antarctica to protect the whales. But one of our future, you know, we are creating a non-profit called Plant Positive, and our goal is to make adventure, make a documentary about it, and like inspire people and educate people about plant-based and how it can be good for yourself, but also for the environment and reducing climate change. And so one of our biggest campaign that we would like to do, but that's going to come like maybe later when we can find more sponsor, and because it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be to cross Antarctica. Because there are not many things that are left in the world that you can do and be the first one, but crossing Antarctica alone, unsupported and unassisted, is one of the things that haven't been done yet. And so that's one of my dreams that I would like to do one day.
Amazing, yeah.
But also, right, so we are starting a nonprofit, and part of it is like building a community of plant-based endurance athletes, and then with that, doing different endurance challenges. But not only with Gwen's crazy crossing Antarctica, but getting down to Antarctica and running to raise awareness about climate change is definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah,
so that's cool to hear that you want to do it.
It's such a big, Antarctica is, like you said, like it's such a big symbol because it's the last continent that is like dedicated to peace and, you know, like, to nature. You know, we cannot really go there. So I think like we need to protect that, and like part of that comes from like doing things from our home. You know, it's not like we're not gonna lose Antarctica just if we go there and do something bad. We can lose Antarctica, and you know, like if we just stay at home and do the wrong thing. So we definitely want to, you know, inspire people and give them tools, because not everybody knows like what we can do to try to do our part to help the environment. So that's kind of like our like life mission, is to inspire people to do a little. And if we inspire many people to do a little, then at the end it will be maybe something big.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. And being plant-based, as you know, reduces your impact on the environment so much. Is that something that you like found has helped you being plant-based too? Like that part of not only for your body but for the environment?
Yeah, totally. I think that like at first it was for my body, and then as you kind of like delve a little deeper, you learn about the environment and then the treatment of the animals, and you kind of like learn all this stuff, and it's what keeps you in this lifestyle, essentially. And I'm big advocate for it, and I just think it's something that people just need to be educated on. I just don't think that it's not that people don't care, they just don't know. And
I agree.
Yeah, so that's, if I can help people a little bit on that in social media, then that's more than my goal, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you are doing, a great job just by performing well and showing, what you eat. It inspires people, it's gonna inspire people regardless of if they care for the environment or not. Then like if they are inspired to eat more plants, then that's a win for themselves because for their health, but that's also a win for the environment. So to us, like that's all matters, is like whatever way we inspire people to eat more plants, it's a win.
Yeah, so definitely keep up the work. You're just doing such a good job inspiring so many people, and we absolutely love it. Is there anything that you want to share with anyone, like any news or anything you want to get out there?
No, just I just want to say thank you. It's been amazing to finally talk to you, and to I think that it's a really cool little network that we can set up with plant-based athletes and plant-based people. So yeah, thank you.
Totally.
Awesome.
And we want to just put out an invite to you one day. If you ever get to the US, we are opening a vegan B&B in our hometown, like where we live, where I grew up. It's amazing. You've probably seen on our Instagram.
You're gonna love the running there. We have like amazing mountains right out of our door. We don't really have to drive to go on runs, and we see like wildlife every day, bears and moose, and you're gonna love it. You need to come.
Yeah, so when we get our B&B open, you should come run with us up in Sandpoint, Idaho.
Let me know, I'll be there.
Cool. Awesome.
Turn down an invite, so I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, we were serious too about the invite, so we love to have people come stay with us, and it's gonna be fun. So we're super excited to get that going. We'll hopefully be open in this like winter or fall, so we'll see where that takes us. But cool, Lucy, thank you so much. And everyone watching, definitely go subscribe, like follow Lucy on Facebook and Instagram, and watch her stories. They're amazing. We watch them every day. Loved, like earlier I just saw, I know exactly what you're talking about with the peanut butter, because I saw that story and I was like, that's legit. We love peanut butter.
I'm so excited to see that in the supermarket.
Yeah, no, it's so hard to find in France. Like, it's not a thing. Peanut butter is like not a thing.
Well, not peanut butter that's just peanuts. Like, there's crazy amounts that are just like loaded with sugar. But yeah, just to find one that's just peanuts, this makes me so happy.
Yeah, well, you should try. We kind of got this sponsor from Nutso. That stuff is insane.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to try.
It's like a blend of like 7 different nuts and seeds, not even peanuts, but other things. And they have one with peanuts in it, and it doesn't have any oil or sugar, just a little bit of salt. It's amazing. Like, it's the best tasting nut butter we've ever had. For all of us nut butter.
Be cool.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
All right. Well, you don't have to do anything. Lucy, we're just gonna disconnect here from the live show. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. Next time we will be in the US for our next show. Maybe next week we will. Yeah,
we don't have a guest for next week, but we do have Gwen next week because we're going to talk about his 100-miler, and you guys, we've got lots of questions coming in on how he did and how he's feeling and all that. So we're gonna we're gonna talk to Gwen next week.
Yeah.
And that's it. So we're gonna be traveling back to the States tomorrow. So it's a long journey. And thank you so much, Lucy. And see you guys next time.
All right, bye.